Political grudges collide with courtroom drama. The fallout is explosive, and for Sean Diddy Combs, it could mean the difference between freedom and decades behind bars. Sean Diddy Combs, once one of the most powerful figures in hip-hop, is now facing the fight of his life, not only against a looming prison sentence, but also against the cold shoulder of a former friend who happens to be one of the most powerful men in politics. Former President Donald Trump has signaled he is unlikely to grant Combs a presidential pardon, citing not just the rapper's recent convictions, but also a personal feud dating back to the 2020 election. With prosecutors pushing for a potentially much harsher sentence than originally expected, and a judge repeatedly denying Combs bail, this case has morphed into a high-stakes battle at the intersection of celebrity, politics. In August 10, 2025, New York, New York, former President Donald Trump has broken his silence on whether he would grant a presidential pardon to music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, who remains incarcerated at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center ahead of his October 3rd sentencing. Despite their once-friendly relationship, Trump now appears unlikely to extend clemency, and his reasoning has more to do with politics than the law. Trump and Combs, once seen mingling at celebrity events, including Diddy's famed white parties, enjoyed a cordial relationship prior to Trump's entry into politics. However, that relationship soured in 2020 when Combs publicly criticized Trump's presidency, calling his leadership dangerous and asserting that white men like Trump need to be banished. In a recent interview with Newsmax, Trump admitted that these remarks still weigh heavily on him. "We're human beings. We don't like to have things cloud our judgment," Trump said. "When you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements, it makes it more difficult. I'm being honest." While Trump has previously issued high-profile pardons to rappers like Lil Wayne and Kodak Black, he suggested that Combs' outspoken anti-Trump stance could be a deal-breaker, calling the decision more difficult, given their history. In early July 2025, Combs was acquitted of the most serious federal charges against him: sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, both of which carried potential life sentences. However, he was convicted on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution under the Mann Act, a law historically used to combat human trafficking. Prosecutors allege that Combs arranged for girlfriends and male sex workers to travel for filmed sexual encounters, often in multi-day sessions. His defense team argues that these activities were part of a consensual swingers lifestyle and do not meet the legal definition of prostitution. On August 4th, Judge Arun Subramanian denied Combs' latest request for release on a $50 million bond, citing his extensive history of violence and failure to prove he would not pose a danger to the community. The judge referenced harrowing testimony from 2 ex-partners, including singer Cassandra Cassie Ventura, alleging years of physical and sexual abuse. Subramanian concluded that increasing the bond amount or imposing additional conditions does not change the calculus, and ordered that Combs remain in custody until sentencing. Initially, prosecutors anticipated a sentencing guideline range of 4 to 5 years. However, in an August 1st filing, they announced they now expect a substantially higher prison term due to the severity and context of the offenses. Each of Combs' convictions carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison, meaning he could face up to 20 years if the sentences run consecutive for Trump. The decision to pardon appears less about the evidence and more about loyalty. His refusal could set a precedent for how political speech influences access to presidential clemency in the future, a development that may spark debate within both the legal community and the hip-hop industry. Combs' legal team is fighting on multiple fronts for a new trial or overturning the conviction, arguing discriminatory enforcement of the Mann Act, preparing for October 3rd sentencing, where prosecutors will push for a lengthy prison term, navigating multiple civil lawsuits alleging sexual misconduct and abuse. Meanwhile, Trump's public reluctance to issue a pardon suggests that Combs' hopes for clemency, at least from the current administration, have dimmed considerably. This high-profile case sits at the crossroads of celebrity, politics, and the justice system. It raises a pressing question: should presidential pardons be influenced by personal grievances, or should they be granted solely on the merits of justice? Sean Diddy Combs trial, Donald Trump pardon decision, Diddy sentencing date, Diddy Mann Act charges, Trump and Diddy feud, Diddy bail denial, Diddy prison sentence. Celebrity Legal News 2025. The legal and political saga surrounding Sean Diddy Combs shows no signs of slowing. With a sentencing date set for October 3rd and prosecutors now pushing for a far longer prison term than initially expected, the stakes could not be higher. Donald Trump's public reluctance to consider a pardon, fueled by their fractured relationship, adds yet another layer of intrigue to a case already steeped in controversy. Whether this clash ends in clemency, a lengthy prison sentence, or yet another legal twist, it has already cemented itself as one of the most closely watched intersections of celebrity, politics, and justice in recent years. The question remains, will personal grudges outweigh legal considerations in one of the most high-profile pardon decisions of the decade? For the latest updates, in-depth analysis, and breaking celebrity legal news, like and subscribe and never miss a story that shapes the headlines.